Shalom, this is Yair Davidiy speaking to you from the land of Israel. I represent Brit-Am, Hebrew awareness. We have proven that the lost 10 tribes of Israel, that is, there were 12 tribes of Israel, 10 of the tribes they were separated from the other 2 and got lost. They were conquered by the Assyrians, taken away, and they moved. They moved to Western Europe, and from there they colonized North America and the related countries. And in North America and in the British Isles, we find descendants of the tribes of Joseph. Other tribes of Israel are found in other parts of Europe, but the USA represents the tribe of Joseph along with the UK and the offshoots of the UK, the offshoots of Britain. Recently there was an assassination attempt against the presidential candidate Donald J. Trump. An attempt was made to kill him, to shoot him. July 13th, 2024, a person named Crooks fired shots at Donald J. Trump. Just missed him. They nicked his ear, nicked his right ear, but also killed one of the attendees, Corey Comparator from Pennsylvania, was killed. It's fired at Trump. They nicked his right ear, and blood was spilt. And there were aspects of the shooting and what happened during it that were pointed out to us by Alexander Safir. Alexander Safir was born in Eastern Europe. He worked as a lawyer, and he is present now, lives in Canada, and is a frequent contributor to our website. Also writes books on his own account. Alexander Safir, you can look him up on the web. He has books worth reading and of value. Insights as to what happened during this assassination attempt. Alexander Safir points out to us parallels with the biblical account of the anointment of Aharon. When the Israelites were in the wilderness, they had a tabernacle, they had regular services and sacrifices at the tabernacle. The tabernacle was a precursor to the temple, similar to the temple, and Aharon and his sons were the chief priests. And Aharon was to be anointed to receive the official inauguration from above by divine decree, to be inaugurated, to anointed as the chief priest, as the high priest. So we are told in Leviticus 8, and they brought near the second ram, a male sheep, the ram of the investitures, and that is of the anointments. And Aaron and his sons leaned their hands forcefully upon the head of the ram, and he slaughtered it. And Moses took some of its blood and placed it on the cartilage of Aaron's right ear, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. So he got that his ear, his thumb, and his foot. Alexander Safir noted Leviticus 8 has 3 requirements: blood on the right ear, blood on the thumb of the right hand, blood upon the great toe of the right foot. When the bullet hit his ear, Trump's first reaction was to touch his ear. And he saw blood on his right thumb. The video also confirmed that Trump's shoes were removed, and while under the podium, drops of blood had fallen on his right foot. He had blood on his right foot. The socks would not have prevented penetration, that the blood on his right foot would have penetrated to the skin, because the anointment in the wilderness was done without shoes or socks. So what is the meaning of it all? Alexander Safir says, blood on the ear, a person is prepared to hear the voice of the Lord. Blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right foot, to do a job. blood on the right hand, to do a job. blood on the right hand, to do a job. blood on the right foot, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right foot, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right foot, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right foot, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right foot, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right foot, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, to do a job. blood on the right thumb, The mitzvah, the commandments, mitzvah, commandment of God. Remember his declaration of Trump. Fight, 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 fight. Go on. Fight, fight, fight. Blood on the right toe to walk straight with God. One more detail. The consecration must be performed in front of all the congregations. Trump's rally was attended by more than 50,000 people. And the last one, this has happened in a place called Butler, Pennsylvania. Butler means the chief cupbearer in ancient times. We have found that in the story of Joseph, the chief cupbearer. Chief cupbearer was the most trusted politician in the royal palace of the kings, of the emperors of Egypt. He was responsible to the ruler for wine, food and safety. In the case of the plot of poisoning or any assassination attempt, the butler served as secret service protection preventer of such tragic events. This butler who miraculously prevented assassination attempts against Donald Trump was God Almighty himself. That is what Alexander Sophia writes us, and he has points worth noting in this and what he has sent us and what he has said. The assailant, known as Thomas Matthew Crooks, was 20-year-old from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. He was shot to death by U.S. Secret Service agents. Donald Trump had miraculously averted his glance for a split second when the gun was fired, and that probably saved his life. But his ear was nicked. Trump was injured in his upper right ear by a strike from a bullet. He raised a hand to his ear before dropping down on the podium behind the lectern for cover. Secret Service agents lunged toward Trump and shielded him. They jumped on him, literally pushed him down. After the assailant was declared down, agents helped Trump get up. Blood was visible on his ear and on his face. He asked the Secret Service agents to let him get his shoes. According to Trump, the agents hit me so hard that my shoes fell off. My shoes are tight. Why are tight shoes, I don't know, but I myself have troubles occasionally with my feet, and I find that changing the type of shoes I wear can help. So there might be something connected with that. After they removed his shoes, some blood from his thumb apparently in his ear spilled on his feet. After they removed his shoes, some blood from his ear spilled on his feet. So he was anointed on his ear, on his thumb, and on his feet. The extreme physical force with which the security people jumped on him and pushed him down is similar to the force that Aharon and his sons put on the head of the ram in the ceremony of anointment. Also note that Corey Comparato was a fatality. He was killed by the shots that were being fired. He was shielding with his body his wife and his two daughters, and he died protecting them. He was a hero. At the time he was working as a tools engineer, but previously had been a chief fireman. He was apparently he died a righteous death. There were other members of the audience who were also slightly injured, but they recovered. Trump tells us, Trump relates, when I rose, Trump, first of all, he was when the bullet hit him and he touched his ear and he saw blood on it, and the people from the security service grabbed him and pushed him down. Then they declared down, meaning that the assailant had been killed, had been eliminated. They helped him to his feet, and he relates, when I rose surrounded by Secret Service, the crowd was confused because I thought I was dead, and there was great sorrow. Could see that on their faces. I looked at them. They didn't know I was looking out. They thought it was over, but I could see it. I wanted to do something to let them know I was okay. They thought he was dead. I raised my right arm, looked at the thousands and thousands of people that were breathlessly waiting and started shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." He was then escorted to a vehicle and taken to the nearby Butler's Memorial Hospital. So it was good that Trump stood on his feet and that he reassured the crowd. And then he shouted, "Fight, fight, fight." It was an inspiration. It was very good. It was what was needed. But nevertheless, you can ask questions. How could the Secret Service people be certain that there was not another shooter in the crowd? How could they be absolutely certain that it was not another backup assassin waiting in the wings? But whatever the case, it was done, and it was better in hindsight that it was done that way. It says that Trump created a large chart displaying immigration statistics with saving his life. Immediately before the first shot, he turned his head to his right toward the chart and pointed to it. The movement narrowed the profile of Trump's skull toward the direction of the shooter, possibly saving him from a direct gunshot wound to his skull. Trump later said, "If I hadn't pointed at that chart and turned my head to look at it, that bullet would have hit me right in the head." The would-be assassin Thomas Matthew Clark had been on social networking services and was described by police as anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish, anti-immigrant, extreme, and espousing political violence. There are parallels in the Bible to this. The ceremony of anointment, or Mishihah in Hebrew, is recorded several times in the Bible. It's quite common. It usually indicated an inauguration, a consecration of a person chosen for a particular task to go enter into that task. The Almighty should help him in it. We find that Saul, the first king of Israel, was anointed. See 1 Samuel 21. And Samuel took the vial of oil and poured it on his head and kissed him. And he said, "Indeed, the Lord has anointed you to be a ruler over his inheritance." So David was also anointed. See 1 Samuel 16:36. The prophet Elisha was anointed to succeed Elijah. See 1 Kings 19:16. The future Messiah will be anointed. See Psalms 132:10. For the sake of David, your servant, turn not away the face of your anointed. Again, 1 Samuel 2:10. Those who strive with the Lord will be broken. Upon him will he thunder in heaven. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth, and he will grant strength to his king, and raise the horn of his anointed one. So that is what we have. So we don't know how things will turn out, but soon we will see. Hope they will turn out for the better. Donald Trump believes in family values. He believes in the Bible. He says the Bible is his most favorite book. He wants to improve the economic welfare of the American people. He wants to remove the menace of future aliens immigrating in large numbers. And he wants the good of the American people and also the good of the state of Israel. He's in favor of the state of Israel. He's always been in favor of the state of Israel and been favorable towards the Jewish people and to the American people. And we hope that things will go well and the Lord Almighty will guide all of us. Thank you.